Good evening, you're now with me, Henry Gui, for Tvs Nightline, and here are the headlines for tonight. Premier of Sarawak, Abang Johari, officiates the 30th anniversary celebration of the Natural Resources and Environmental Board tonight. Meanwhile, Abang Johari says Sarawak's ambition to become a regional leader in renewable energy is bolstered by its abundant resources. And he says now is the golden chance for Sarawakians abroad to return to Sarawak and contribute to the region's economic growth. The Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, has officiated the 30th anniversary of the Natural Resources and Environment Board (NREB) with a grand dinner at the Borneo Convention Centre, Kuching, BCCK, earlier tonight. The event marked the start of a series of activities planned for 2024, including community outreach programs, tree planting, and a sports carnival. For more updates, we head to our reporter Lorenzo Isaac, who is currently at BCCK. Go ahead, Lorenzo.
Thank you, Henny Goy. Currently, I am at the Borneo Convention Centre, Kuching, and among the highlights are the NREB is poised to take on new and significant responsibilities starting in the year 2025. Firstly, under the transfer of autonomy, according to their director, Jack Liam, as part of the Malaysian Agreement 1963 on environment, the NREB will take over the functions of the Department of Environment in phases. In the first phase, NREB will take over the scheduled waste management in 2025. Meanwhile, in the second phase, this will be followed by other functions such as industrial effluent, air emission, and noise and controlled substances. This transition marks another historic milestone, granting them the greater authority and responsibility in environmental governance and enabling them to implement more localized and effective strategies. Meanwhile, with the enactment of the Environment Reduction of GHG Emission Ordinance 2023, according to the Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, the NREB is tasked with a critical role in combating climate change. And in his speech, they have registered 18 business entities in the energy and oil and gas sectors. They are also expecting to receive their emission reports by the end of August. These business entities are also expected to submit comprehensive plans to reduce greenhouse gas emission as part of their commitment to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. This commitment reflects their dedication to global environmental goals and the well-being of the planet. So far, the series of activities that has also been planned throughout 2024 to commemorate NREB's 30th anniversary, and these activities include community outreach programs, engagement with industry players, tree planting program, Media Appreciation Night, Blood Donation Campaign, and Sports Carnival. So far, that's all the updates that I have for today. We continue to the studio with you, Henry Gui. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lorenzo, for the updates. Now, Sarawak's ambition to become a regional leader in renewable energy is bolstered by its abundant resources. Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, highlighted that Sarawak's potential for a green and sustainable economy propels the region into significant prominence on the global stage.
Dan dengan adanya membran baru yang dia buat, daripada 60 kWh turun kepada 30. Dan secara kebetulan saintis tu anak Sarawak, Iban dari Seri Aman. Jadi apa yang berlaku sekarang ini, saya percaya bahawa electrolyzer ni akan menurun dari sudut teknologinya
dan kos.
Kena In cost lah. Consumption power dia reduce. Bermakna cost dia reduce lah. Proportionally reduce. Dan teknologi ni kalau ada membran ditambah, membran baru, saya fikir sekarang ni mungkin 28 sudah. Dia akan turun kepada 15 dan 10 dalam masa 15 tahun. Kalau ini berlaku, harga hidrogen akan murah. Maybe better than diesel. So you don't need any more subsidy. Yeah.
He spoke during the podcast Keluar Sekejap, hosted by Khairi Jamaluddin and Syahril Hamdan in conjunction with the Sarawak Day 2024 celebration. During the podcast, Abang Johari also shared Sarawak's transformative journey towards its green energy vision, emphasizing sustainable development starting with hydrogen.
Dan apa yang perlu ialah untuk kita mengeluarkan hidrogen saja. That one you need fuel, power, renewable power. Maksud saya tadi, kalau electrolyzer tu kentah, mana hydrogen is there. Dan juga sekarang sudah ada teknologi di mana power plant you punya feedstock itu hanya hidrogen. Hidrogen tu masuk ke power plant, keluar power. That's why the concept of G to P, power to gas to power. Jadi makna kita ada jadi pengeluar tenaga lah, tenaga yang boleh diperbarui. As far as Sarawak is concerned lah.
In this endeavor, Abang Johari predicted that the export value of renewable energy will exceed 15% by 2030. He also revealed that the revenue will then be channeled back to the people via infrastructure development in Sarawak's river-rich areas, which will also spur growth in the agricultural sector.
In the same podcast, Abang Johari stated that as a leading energy hub in the region, it provides opportunities for Sarawakians both abroad and within the country to return to Sarawak and contribute to the region's economic growth. He emphasized that a robust ecosystem will encourage Sarawakians who have pursued careers abroad to boost efforts in existing local industries. He also highlighted key initiatives such as the autonomous rapid transit ART system for Kuching's urban transportation and the recently launched Sarawak Microelectronic Design Academy SMD, which are both pivotal in developing human capital.
Ekonomi baru, dan anak kita mesti belajar disiplin yang lebih maju daripada kita sekarang, kerana keadaan ekosistem sudah berubah. Kalau dulu, honestly, dulu tiada masalah climate change, go ahead saja. Sekarang you ada flood, you ada heat wave yang menjejaskan pertanian you, dan you terpaksa cari saintis yang boleh mengendalikan sektor pertanian yang cara baru. You punya ekonomi, you mesti ekonomi di mana mereka yang terlatih dapat mainkan peranan. Kalau ekonomi you bawah, dia akan tidak balik, dia pergi tempat lain. Sekarang umpamanya ART, apabila saya buat ART, anak Sarawak balik berkhidmat dengan ART. Dan apabila saya buka SMD, semiconductor design chip, anak Sarawak Silicon Valley pun balik sekarang. Mana dia, you punya ekonomi itu must match with their training.
Logan Bunut National Park has been proposed as a new Ramsar site in Sarawak as part of an initiative to preserve and protect the state's mangrove forest areas. Deputy Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Amar Awang Tengah Ali Hassan said this move is also aimed at balancing development needs with the protection of green spaces in Sarawak.
Satu kawasan telah diisytihar sebagai kawasan tapak Ramsar yang kelima negara, iaitu Taman Negara Kuching Wetland dengan keluasan 6,610 hektar pada tahun 2005. Manakala Taman Negara Logan Bunut telah dicadangkan sebagai tapak Ramsar yang baru.
He said this in his speech at the national level celebration of International Mangrove Ecosystem Conservation Day 2024 held at a hotel in Kuching earlier today. Meanwhile, he said that the Sarawak Forest Department has proposed 31 new areas as permanent forest estates or PFE, expected to cover a total area of 814,437 hectares. For mangrove forest areas, Sarawak has so far gazetted 12,950 hectares, which is 19% of the total mangrove forest area in Sarawak, as totally protected areas or TPA. Another 11,084 hectares, or 16% of the total mangrove forest area in Sarawak, have been gazetted as PFE.
Now, the Sarawak government, through the Sarawak Forest Department, is committed to the management, preservation and conservation of mangrove forests. This commitment is demonstrated through the implementation of mangrove tree planting programs and suitable species along the state's coastal areas. Today, Deputy Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Amar Awang Tengah Ali Hassan, reported that Sarawak has planted a total of 1,004,304 mangrove trees.
Program ini dilaksanakan dengan menggunakan peruntukan dari Kerajaan Persekutuan dan Kerajaan Sarawak. Program penanam pokok bakau adalah selari dengan program penghijauan Malaysia melalui kempen penanaman 100 juta pokok peringkat nasional dan Greening Sarawak campaign di peringkat Sarawak sehingga penghujung 2025. Sarawak seperti yang dikatakan oleh Yang Berhormat Timbalan Menteri tadi telah berjaya menanam lebih 35 juta pokok pada awal tahun. Lebih awal daripada yang disasarkan.
Explaining further, Awang Tengah revealed that the federal government has been implementing mangrove and suitable species planting programs along the nation's coastlines since 2005, following the devastating tsunami triggered by the Indian Ocean earthquake on December 26, 2004. He noted that these planting efforts have been carried out not only in areas affected by the tsunami, but have also been extended to coastal areas across the entire country.
Mulu Assemblyman Dato' Garawat Gala has called on residents to actively preserve their ancestral traditions, emphasizing the importance of passing these cultural practices down through generations to prevent them from fading into obscurity. Garawat highlighted the crucial role of the younger generation in this venture, urging them to learn and embrace their cultural heritage, stressing that maintaining these traditions is vital for keeping the unique identity and rich history of their communities alive.
He added that the Sarawak government also encourages each ethnic group to uphold their culture and traditions in line with the state's aspiration for a harmonious society despite the diversity of races, cultures and beliefs.
Inilah sebab kerajaan kita, Kerajaan Sarawak, sangat menggalakkan dan menyokong dan bantu perayaan-perayaan tradisi kita di sini seperti Gawai Dayak yang kita telah merayai pada bulan Jun di peringkat negeri di Kuching, begitu juga perayaan Hari Raya Idul Fitri dan Tahun Baru Cina. Itu juga sebab Yang Amat Berhormat Premier tubuhkan Unifor ini supaya dapat menjaga kebajikan dan juga kedudukan agama-agama lain daripada agama Islam. Inilah cara kerajaan kita untuk memupuk semangat perpaduan di antara kaum kita walaupun berbilang adat, berbilang bangsa dan agama.
He was speaking at the official opening of the 17th Barrio Nukanan and Kalabit Cultural Festival in Barrio on Thursday. Gurawat, who is also the Deputy Minister in the Premier's Department, Labor, Immigration and Project Monitoring, added that one of the festival's objectives is to strengthen the bonds between the communities, particularly targeting the youth who grow up and live in urban areas. Furthermore, Gurawat noted that the festival serves to promote Barrio as a key tourism destination within the state.
Khas untuk generasi muda kita. Mereka yang tidak ada kesempatan membesar di kampung kita di Barrio ini, sangat perlu untuk mereka mengenali tempat asal kita, tanah air kita, di tanah tinggi Barrio ataupun tanah tinggi Kelabit ini. Dan juga untuk mereka kenalkan dan membudaya nilai-nilai tradisi masyarakat kita di sini. Tujuan Pesta Nukanan ini juga adalah untuk memperkenalkan dan mempromosi Barrio dan kawasan tanah tinggi kita ini kepada tetamu-tetamu kita sebagai destinasi pelancongan dan juga kawasan pertanian yang sungguh berpotensi.
During the same event, he announced a 30,000 ringgit allocation for the festival. The Nukanan Festival runs for 3 days in Barrio from July 25th to July 27th, or is celebrated every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at the end of July each year.
Hello there and welcome back. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim today announced an allocation of 6 million ringgit for Angkatan Koperasi Kebangsaan Malaysia Berhad, or ANKASA, to strengthen the cooperative movement in the country. Of the total, he said 2 million ringgit would be adjusted from the Rahmah Cell allocation under the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Cost of Living (KPDN) for ANKASA to intensify cooperative activities.
Ekonomi madani menuntut seluruh jentera kerajaan beri tumpuan dan perhatian kepada gerakan koperasi. Kita ada kementerian digital. Saya mau kementerian digital juga memerhati salah satu fokus dia tentang program digital di angkasa dan koperasi.
He said this when officiating the closing ceremony of National Cooperatives Congress 2024 earlier today. Meanwhile, another 2 million ringgit would be adjusted from the Sejati Madani program allocation under the Implementation Coordination Unit (ICU) for cooperatives in Madani villages.
Kita ada perkampungan Madani. Dan sekarang kampung-kampung Madani diambil beberapa satuan, yaitu kuasa masjid, sultan belia, wanita. Saya nak masukkan koperasi di dalam kelompok itu. Dan apa-apa Madani saya mulakan supaya juga dalam program itu 2 juta ringgit disalur terus melalui angkasa kepada koperasi di bawah.
Anwar said 1 million ringgit will be set aside as a new allocation for the ASEAN Cooperatives Program throughout Malaysia's 2025 ASEAN Chairmanship, as he wanted the cooperative movement to be one of ASEAN's important agendas next year. Anwar said 500,000 ringgit from the total allocation is for mosque cooperatives in the rural areas, while the remaining 500,000 ringgit is for ANKASA to carry out competency-enhancing training for rural cooperatives. In his speech, the Prime Minister also stressed the importance of all government machinery to help drive the nationwide cooperative movement under the Madani Economy Framework, as the efforts should not be left to be implemented by the Ministry of Entrepreneurship, Development and Cooperatives alone. He said that although the national cooperative's revenue has increased to 64 billion ringgit, there is still room for improvement so that the Malaysian cooperative movement can be at par with other countries such as Indonesia, Thailand, and Finland.
Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof on Friday represented the Malaysian government, paying his last respects and attending the state funeral of the General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam Central Community, Nguyen Phu Trong, in Hanoi. Joining Fadilah at the National Funeral Home were Deputy Secretary General for Bilateral Relations of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Datuk Ahmad Rozian Abdul Ghani, and Malaysian Ambassador to Vietnam, Datuk Tan Yang Thai.
The 80-year-old Trong reportedly died of old age. Fadilah also shared a post that said Trong, who has led the party since 2011, is the first leader to hold 3 consecutive mandates in the post after the country's economic liberalization in 1986. In a statement issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Thursday, Fadilah made a working visit to Vietnam from July 25 to 26 as a representative of the Malaysian government to the state funeral. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is also known as Wisma Putra, said the visit underlined Malaysia's commitment to continue maintaining strong diplomatic relations with Vietnam while respecting the legacy left by Trong.
The elderly have been identified as the group most frequently targeted by online scams in this country. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Law and Institutional Reform, Datuk Seri Azalina Othman, stated that statistics show a significant increase in scam cases among senior citizens recorded up until last month.
Orang-orang berumur lah, itu yang menjadi masalah scamming. Sebab anak dia orang semua banyak jauh pada rumah kan. Jadi bila dia telefon tu sekejap je, dia orang minta ni minta tu, dia bagi tag lah, bagi apa, semua dia kena tipu. Itu sebab kita nakkan supaya yang kita dah buat pindaan ni, semua yang guna akaun Kalda itu kita boleh tahan duit kat situ lah. Kita cuba nak selamatkan duit yang dah ketirisan, yang dah lari, tapi tak tahu sama ada. Yang paling penting tu saya dah beritahu dia orang, Bank Negara pun dah buatkan banyak pendidikan awal bahawa tak boleh layan-layan kat telefon bank-bank semua.
Azalina stressed that online scams against this group usually involve fake calls from bank officials asking for personal information. Recently, the Prime Minister's Department of Law and Institutional Reform reported that losses due to online scams reached 2.6 billion ringgit from 2022 to June of this year.
Authorities evacuated nearly 300,000 people and suspended public transport across eastern China on Friday as Typhoon Gaimi brought torrential rains already responsible for 5 deaths in nearby Taiwan. Gaimi was the strongest typhoon to hit Taiwan in 8 years when it made landfall on Thursday, flooding parts of the island's second biggest city.
Chinese authorities warned Typhoon Gaimi was bringing with it torrential rains that could cause flooding. They have relocated more than 290,000 people in Fujian and shut down public transport, offices, schools, and markets in some cities. In neighboring Zhejiang province, footage aired by state broadcaster CCTV on Friday showed streets turned into rivers. trees strewn over roads, and bikes struggling through knee-high waters. No deaths or injuries have yet been reported in mainland China. Meanwhile, Typhoon Gaimi exacerbated seasonal rains in the Philippines on its path to Taiwan, triggering flooding and landslides that killed 30 people. State media said it had weakened by the time it made landfall in China's eastern Fujian province shortly before 8 p.m. local time on Thursday. China is enduring a summer of extreme weather, with heavy rains across the east and south coming, as much of the north has sweltered under successive heat waves. The country is by far the world's largest emitter of the greenhouse gases scientists say are driving climate change and making extreme weather more frequent and intense.
The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs warned on Thursday that the death toll from landslides in southern Ethiopia could reach up to 500 amid ongoing emergency response and search operations. According to the latest update, the death toll had risen to 257 by Wednesday, as more bodies were recovered from the mud.
Noting that an interagency humanitarian assessment team has reached the area and is currently supporting response coordination through the established Emergency Coordination Center, the UNOCA warned that the death toll is expected to rise up to 500 people. According to local authorities, the first landslide occurred on Sunday night, after hours of heavy rain in a small village called Kencho Shata Gozdi in southern Ethiopia's Geze Gofa district. Meanwhile, the second landslide happened on Monday morning and buried an unknown number of local community members who gathered at the scene for rescue efforts. According to local officials, among the casualties were children and women, as well as security personnel and local government officials who were undertaking rescue operations. Search and rescue operations are currently ongoing under the leadership of local authorities, with the support from the Ethiopian Red Cross Society and community members, who are mainly digging through mounds of mud with their bare hands and spades for lack of other options. According to the UNOCA, at least 125 people are displaced and currently sheltering with the host communities, while 12 people who sustained injuries were taken to nearby health facilities. Noting that more than 15,500 people have been affected by the landslides as of Wednesday, the UNOCA warned over further catastrophe endangering the affected community members. The deadly landslides occurred as Ethiopia is in the midst of a rainy season, which started in July and is expected to last until mid-September.
Wrapping up the Nightline, a Philippine-flagged tanker MT Terra Nova carrying 1.4 million liters of industrial fuel oil sank off the coast of Manila on Thursday, resulting in a significant spill. The vessel capsized in Manila Bay amid rough seas and heavy rains brought by Typhoon Gaimi and the seasonal monsoon. Tragically, one crew member lost their life in the incident. An oil slick spanning several kilometers has been detected, and the Philippine Coast Guard is mobilizing efforts to apply dispersants and deploy floating barriers to contain the spill.
Coast Guard spokesman Rear Admiral Armando Balilo told a briefing earlier on Thursday the authorities were racing against time to contain the spill and stop more fuel leaking. He added that it appeared so far that diesel fuel used to power the tanker was leaking into the sea, but not the industrial fuel oil cargo. He warned that if all the industrial fuel oil in the tanker were to leak, it would be the biggest spill in Philippine history. Meanwhile, it was reported that 16 of the 17 crew had been rescued from the stricken vessel. An investigation into the cause of the incident was underway, but Balilo said the vessel had not broken rules on heavy weather sailing.
See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. For more headlines anytime, anywhere, just head on to our official website at tvsarawak.my or follow us on our social media platforms. Those were the updates on TVS Nightline. I'm Handy Gui. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.